And the best kept secret of Judea is the Jews of Judea. And you are one of those incredible diamonds. You're a diamond of a Jew. Every time I'm around you, I feel closer to Hashem. I leave inspired. And I thought that this was a perfect week to introduce you to our friends and brothers in the fellowship. I was just telling you about the fellowship. Hundreds of people in 40 countries around the world that are just so thirsty to connect with Israel, the Torah of Israel, the nation of Israel, the God of Israel. And that's what it's about. So I wanted to introduce them to you. And I was thinking, of course, there was another Torah portion I thought that you would tie in very well to. But this one is beautiful as well, because the minute I started reading through it, and it was about vows and annulling vows, and just in general, the power of a vow, of a neder in Hebrew, I thought to invite you. Now, why would I invite you to...
Well, first of all, I got to say, it's a privilege to be here.
Thank you.
And I feel the same way. Anytime I'm around you, I feel closer to Hashem. So, Chasdei Hashem, we're very blessed. I know the other portion you're talking about is probably Parshas Naso. And most of the time I get a text message like, oh, it's your Parsha. And the reason is because I was a Nazarite, a Nazir in Hebrew for over 7 years. Concluded recently on Lag BaOmer. And so, yeah, even to this day, even though I'm no longer in that status, people still know me as a Nazir. Just because of that, most people have only ever known me as that. My wife included.
I've known you for years, and only recently have you returned to the fold of the rest of humanity.
Yeah,
yes.
Right, trying to become a human again.
So what was that like? Why did you take on that vow?
Well,
what was that like? Give us your thought process. Just briefly, you were born in South Africa.
Correct. Born in South Africa, lived there until I was about 11. Spent the next about 11 years in California. And then I went off, spent a year in Asia. It was a wild time. And it was actually in Asia that I became a Nazarite. It was right after Pesach time. On the conclusion of Pesach it's known as the Shvi Shel Pesach, and it concludes with
seventh day of Passover.
Passover, right? And there's a little bit of a celebration, a feast at the conclusion. Some call it Memuna, others call it the Seudah of Mashiach, the feast of Messiah. And it was actually on that day that I ended up taking on the vow. I think one of the simple reasons I took it on is like you, and I think this is why we connect so much, is we're a bit extremist in a certain sense. I mean, if you look at where Ari is right now, where we are right now, you understand there's a positive, we just saw it in Parshas Pinchas, that to be zealous for Hashem, to be zealous for holiness, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's why me and you connect, and our friend circle, we connect. And I've always...
It manifests itself in different ways.
Right, absolutely. And I strongly felt that it's an injustice, it's a sadness in the world that the creator of the world, where there is nothing outside of him, doesn't have a home in his own world. And how can I allow myself to be comfortable, to be too comfortable, so long as he doesn't have a home? I don't want to be, so to speak,
well, isn't that what we're trying to do with our prayers and our national aspiration for the Beit HaMikdash, for the temple, to create a dwelling place, a home for God in the world? Isn't that what our aspiration should be? Why did you decide to make it on such a personal, biblical, Nazarite, out-of-the-box way? I mean, most people don't know any other Nazarites. I didn't, other than you.
Right. I think an added element is you can't really maybe give a good reason behind these things. I know I'm married to a woman who's a convert, although it's a story for another time, that she does have family lineage that connected to Judaism. So when you ask most converts, at least when I've asked them why they did it, it's something deep and innate inside of them that they can't really describe. They just know that this is who they are, and they could give reasons, but the reasons are never good enough. I can't tell you I can give you reasons, but even to myself, the reasons aren't good enough. The most deep and innate reason is I just felt this is what I need to do. This is one of what we would call, with regard to Kabbalah, a tikkun. This is a rectification that we as a klal, as a general all-encompassing soul of Israel need. And sometimes a certain individual might do so for the collective. And even after now I've concluded, I've had rabbis come up to me and say, thank you in a sense for your service, like we would say to a soldier. Because they understand that the Torah is eternal. That means that the portions of the Torah that describe the Nazarite and speak about the commandments relating to the Nazarite, they haven't gone out of effect just because we don't have a temple anymore. There's still a belief and there's still an idea of it. And this is something that I can't describe. I just knew this is something I needed to do.
This highlight was taken from the Land of Israel Fellowship. Every week, hundreds of families from literally around the world come together on our live Zoom sessions to strengthen each other, to inspire each other, and to learn Torah from the Land of Israel, in which we connect the dots between the Bible, the Hebrew language, and the confusing events of our times. Go to www.thelandofisrael.com/fellowship or click on the link below to join. Thank you.